What's good, all you shadow steppers? Welcome. It's another edition of the Watchpoint Post-Show, and we are coming at you live from beautiful Los Angeles, California, here in the Blizzard Arena. It's the end of the first week of the playoffs presented by Xfinity. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, joined by, here he is, come on in, it's Monty. We've also got our other friends. We got Brett, we got Sideshow, and two great matches today. That second one, much tighter than a lot of people predicted, except for you, Monty. You saw it the whole time. New York all day.
It was really easy. I just picked both teams with all Korean players, and they won. You know, it's been a solid strategy in esports, honestly. It's gotten me through many years of analysis.
It's been a while, actually, since you've ridden this hype train all the way through, just talking about Korean full teams.
Monty and Wolf were hanging out last night, but let's take a look at the games that happened today. Of course, we started the day with the Gladiators coming in with the number 5 seed, going up against the number 1 seeded Vancouver Titans.
Closer
Gladiators, I was going to say, go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, closer game than, I was anticipating a close game, but it went exactly the way I called it, which was the Gladiators needed to win early and win hard if they wanted to stand a chance against the Vancouver Titans, because the longer they gave the Titans to really figure out what they were running and how they were playing their game plan, the worse it was going to be for them.
And that's exactly what we saw over the course of the series, the issue being that the Vancouver Titans actually had a fairly good read right from the beginning. They ended up winning Busan, and the Gladiators' defense on Kings Road did remain solid. They look excellent at this map.
Yep.
When it's tight, confined areas with not much opportunity to flank, that's when the Gladiators' style of kind of bum rushing you, just running with 6 players straight into your back line and just overwhelming your tanks on the way. That's when their style really works. So we're starting to see the styles of all of these teams in the playoffs now, and it'll give us more of an opportunity to, you know, predict how styles are going to match up, see if we get some amazing stylistic matchups in later on in the playoff bracket too.
What is the style of the Vancouver Titans?
Well, I think in this match, we were looking especially at Haksal getting into the back lines and dealing with Big Goose and Shaz on the support. So if we think about how they're trying to drive that wedge, we keep saying it, drive that wedge in between the front and back lines, and that's cutting off the healing, and that's getting some big kills.
At the first break, it was all tied up 1-1. That meant that is going to be Vancouver's pick. They went Anubis, and surprise, surprise, Vancouver's pretty good at Anubis.
They really are. This seems to be their bread and butter over the course of the entirety of the season, even when the meta just changes. It just something seems to suit them in the way that it's been played. It's I don't want to say it's their home ground, because I would have said Numbani was at some point, and unfortunately that curse got broken.
What about Kings Row? That should have been their home ground as well.
It should have been their home ground as well, maybe. But all in all, we're really starting to see the strengths of the Titans come together. And the fact that they were able to beat the Gladiators today when Surefall was so confident coming into this match, especially if you remember his post-match interview, he said if the Titans play the way we think the game is meant to be played, he said it will be close. But if they don't, then it's going to be a roll for Gladiators. Well, the opposite happened.
Well, I mean, have you ever heard an interview with Surefall where he wasn't confident?
Listen, I'm not going to get down this rabbit hole. I've already been through enough beating this guy on Twitter. I'm not even going to go there. But here's the thing. I'd be curious to see what his opinion was on why they lost that game individually as well.
That game 3 didn't go the Gladiators' way, which meant they also got to pick map 4, and they chose Rialto. And what I loved here was it wasn't just the Reaper Doomfist. Hydration pulls out the Pharah. The indoor barrage caught everyone off guard just to open things up. It kind of gave them new life.
Fantastic plays, honestly, from Hydration throughout this map. And it was both of the teams were trying similar stuff. And we're really seeing Bastion become a mainstay, particularly kind of Bastion Pharah compositions where you can't look in both directions. But at the end of the day, the Vancouver Titans weren't able to push past the first point on their extra time, added time. And it's Gladiators all day, every day.
That brought it to 2-2 before Lijiang.
It does make me wonder how far the Shanghai Dragons would have gotten as well if they had won against London Spitfire.
Yeah, sure.
I really wish we had seen them in the playoffs instead.
Unfortunately, they didn't. They went home. They weren't good enough. That's literally the format.
That goes, baby. That goes.
Now, the Gladiators did take the first point, and Vancouver had to clutch up on back-to-back rounds. Hacksal's Doomfist definitely felt. How do you deal with this, man? Because it didn't seem like they had an answer.
I think that Hacksal's Doomfist will end up being shut down by some of the other teams, but with how aggressively Void plays and how much he uses his rock aggressively, to set up kills for his team rather than to peel, it gives Haxel more of an opportunity. I think the stylistic matchup works well for Haxel in this fight because he can go for the backline and show off his prowess and his individual skill, whereas when he plays against some of the other teams, he will find it much more difficult.
And especially if we're talking about them playing against the NYXL, the poster child of defensive play within the Overwatch League. So I'm very curious how that matchup is going to end up working out.
That's going to be so interesting, actually, going up against Mano and Meko as individuals. This is really starting to shape up to be a fantastic playoffs overall with the teams that got in it, I think. We're going to potentially see the Atlanta Reign against the Shock, if the Shock end up besting Gladiators a little bit later on. There was a way I wanted this playoffs to go, but I am not arguing against this one. These matches are shaping up to be absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that we have our top 4 seeds coming into it. We thought, you know, the seeding would end up getting blown up, but Shock is still looking strong in the lower bracket. Gladiators have actually put up a really good fight against some of these top teams. And we've got Titans and NYXL ended up coming out. So it's been excellent.
Now, when we looked at the Doomfist, last time the Gladiators were on stage, it was split time between Hydration and Decay. It looks like they went purely Hydration today, but Haxel definitely making a name for himself as one of the best Doomfist in the game.
All right, this is pretty one-sided statistically. We don't have the time played up here, but it should be somewhat similar. However, 72-42, so 30 more final blows for Haxel. And also just the difference in deaths, 58-45, and what, 71 more eliminations overall
so
for Haxel?
Yeah, I don't believe we spoke about this as the game was going on, but a big reason why Haxel is able to get away with this, see the big discrepancy in the Meteor Strike kills, is going to be down to the Halt assists as well from the tank line. Raw isn't as effective as a lot of other main tanks Orisa players right now in the league at setting his team up with them because of the play style they play, where they just gallop him into the front line. It's not really as many opportunities for him to set up.
I think it's tough because I think Roar is the worst main tank remaining in this playoff tournament.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable assessment, given what we've seen in the regular season as well. But what I love about the Gladiators' play style is that he doesn't actually have to be that incredible individually, because he's part of a system that empowers Surefour in particular to get those wins by he's kind of running in and creating that space, which is weird for an Orisa to do, but it works well within this setup. And I think the Gladiators, they definitely have some refining to do of this play style, but they've got something nice at its core.
I like that. I mean, the tank's a huge part. They open up, they create space for a lot of the DPS players, and one of them that took advantage of it today, we saw Hydration trying to do this a lot, but Haxel did it even better, and that was killing supports. Looking at the numbers here, 33 of his 92 total kills, that's 36% were on supports. I think that's going to become more and more important as these playoffs go on. How do you keep your supports alive?
Well, it's Hydration had almost half as many support kills, but it's also the 92 versus 59 support kills. 92 for the Titans, 59 for the Gladiators. So they really weren't getting deep into that backline anywhere near as much. And I think these numbers tell a really big story about what the focus of the Titans was in this game.
But the Titans are going to be going up against NYXL next. And when Meko plays a little bit more defensively and helps his backline, or when they're playing Bastion comps where it's harder even for a Doomfist to get in that position, Haxel's going to find it way more difficult. So great stylistic matchup for him today, and he absolutely delivers. In the future, it'll be interesting to see how he does when teams are trying to counter him specifically.
If there was any player, though, to change up their play style, it would be Haxel, I think, to suit it as well. I think the Titans are more than capable of that. This match is going to be ridiculously sick no matter what. But yeah, Haxel, I don't think he's going to be hurting as much. Yes, his play style is aggressive, but he's also an intelligent player. He's been around the block. He's been in a couple of finals.
I like it. I like it. I mean, the games are only going to get better from here. Both of these teams have some time to game plan before their next matches. And speaking of next matches, we got a big one to talk about coming up. The Reign were the kryptonite for New York all regular season. New York was looking for revenge. We'll tell you how they got it after the break. Support your team with the official Overwatch League Coca-Cola bottles at CokeStore.com. Ships to all 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. P.O. boxes. welcome back. The second match of the day was the Atlanta Reign, who of course upset the San Francisco Shock to see the New York Excelsior here in the winner's bracket semifinals. New York, they came in with a higher seed, got the pick, and on Busan, it was Libero's Doomfist leading the way. Sabiobi on the Reaper causing problems, but a very tight match in the first half despite a 2-0 lead for the New York Excelsior.
I think Atlanta will be really disappointed that they weren't able to pick up one of these first two maps, because that could have made the series entirely different. Animo had some great boops on Baby Bay when he was trying to use his ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the biggest differences in the first few maps was the clutch potential of these Reapers. Baby Bay ended up getting shut down a lot, whereas Sabiobi was empowered to do anything he wanted and totally took King's Row by storm.
I think one of the things we've always noticed about the NYXL as well, throughout the last 2 years of competition in the Overwatch League, is that one of the things they do is adapt tactically in games. And what I mean by that is they don't generally change their composition a whole lot, but they will change the way they play the composition depending on what you're doing. And we saw some really good stuff, especially when they were playing into that Junkrat and that Symmetra at times, where they would play a little bit more defensively and try and, they adapt very well on the fly to those kind of changes from their opponents.
They also were quite clutch as well during this series at certain times. And it's honestly a trait that I wouldn't associate much with New York.
Right, not in the playoffs.
Well, there are like, so if we recall back to, let's say, the Stage 3 finals where they played against Boston last year, SBV was super clutch over the course of that series. So I think it has been, in stage playoffs, they've had some really clutch moments, but it obviously didn't deliver in season playoffs.
It looked like the Symmetra definitely threw them off for Hanamura. This was the one map where we saw a lot of weird compositions coming out of Atlanta.
And Atlanta's clearly still have some things left in their pocket, because they were bringing out Ashe, they were bringing out the Junkrat, they had Sim Bastion compositions. This is not a team that's completely utilized their playbook just yet.
Chengdu did it, stage 1.
Sure.
Not that impressive.
Sure.
In the Sigma meta, Chengdu definitely did not do it, though.
This is another map that absolutely could have gone Atlanta's way here when we come into map 4, where they managed to hold them beautifully, and Gator is so good at working around these high grounds on the Sigma, but then it fell to pieces for them when they were on attack. And I'm a little concerned for Atlanta in the lower bracket if they can't clutch, because there's now been a few scenarios, and that includes when they beat the San Francisco Shock. They were about to lose before Shock C9. That wasn't them clutching.
Right.
They should have lost.
Shock losing. So I'm worried about this team's clutch potential.
It reminds me a lot of what we saw from the Shock in Stage 1 of this year, where they looked like a strong team, but when it came to the big moments, they had to win a fight. That's when they fell off super hard. And we had the overtime statistics to back that up, and I'm sure we'll be taking a look at those same stats for the Atlanta Reign coming into next week.
I mean, that probably tends to happen as well when you swap out a vast majority of the players on your roster. You built up this consistent core that's played in those playoff scenarios. We're getting off track a little bit here as we're talking about New York. But you do tend to see it where they can't really perform in those high-pressure scenarios. But New York, I've got to say, still impressive. At this point, you cannot say that the curse is there whatsoever. They seem to be absolutely dominating in the playoffs. This is a massive concern for us leading up to it. We were always wondering, is New York ever going to be able to progress in any sort of playoffs whatsoever?
And now a minimum top 3 finish in this year.
Ridiculous.
That's fantastic.
Think of our brackets, at least for me and you, Josh. We both had New York going out the first 2 rounds. Monty, you look exasperated.
No, it is surprising, right? Because it sounds funny to say, oh, wow, NYXL, who was our number 2 seed. Wow, a top 3 finish sounds really good for them. You'd be like, no, you expect that. But if you actually looked at their gameplay, they're 3 and 4 stage 4, you all of a sudden realize, like, this is a team that is really clicking in this meta and is doing. Weirdly, it seems like when we expected the least from XL, now they're actually delivering.
Yeah, maybe they just needed all of that pressure to be removed. When nobody had any expectations of them in the playoffs, that's when they actually clicked with the meta. Because if you think back to last season's playoffs, they didn't understand how to play that at all. Jonax on the Zen when nobody was using Zen. Now, Sabiobi looks excellent on the Reaper. Great timing with it. Huge delivery. I mean, look at his final blows there. And he was so clutch with the Death Blossoms as well. And Libero has just slotted in, and Libero's never really been a clutch player, but on Doomfist, he was so good.
You don't think he's been a clutch player? Going all the way back to stage 1, no matter what hero you need him, he is going to perform.
He's consistent, but not clutch, I would say.
So he got the final kills. That's what you need out of the boy to clutch up. All right, here are the numbers. We've been talking about Sigma all day. Meko on your right from the NYXL going up against Gator, who you saw it on social media. Everyone thinks he may be the greatest Sigma player in the game. How'd they stack up?
I think Gator was still incredible in this series. Certainly not a reason why Atlanta ended up losing. And a lot of other Sigmas in the competition could learn from Gator's play.
Yeah, Gator was really, really quite good. I mean, even with a losing series, you can see the numbers reflecting the fact that they are above average compared to Mecco. I mean, phenomenal.
I think one thing that's really interesting to move away from the Sigma is a name we didn't hear a lot this series was Jonak. And if we think about how NYXL has always played, it's been that Jonak-focused style.
Yeah.
And they needed to break out of that because Jonak wasn't going to be able to carry them in every single meta. And all of the talk has been around, let's say, Mecco or SBB or Libero. I think this is a really encouraging sign of some better flexibility strategically from the NYXL.
Evolution.
Yeah.
I'd love to as well point out, there was a time where you said you didn't think New York had any top players. About 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, in terms of their actual overall...
Just going to throw into the bus like that.
No context.
But I still don't think that they're an incredibly stacked roster. I don't think the reason that they're doing well in this playoffs is because they have the best individual talent out of everybody in the league.
Sure.
And I think even if you look over the whole course of 2019, I don't think you would really say that. But Sabiobi has always been phenomenal. He just really wasn't fielded throughout 2019 very much because it wasn't heroes that fit him. But this Reaper is excellent. It allows him to be very good mechanically and have that leadership and clutch potential for the team. This is a brand new New York as well because team style has changed completely.
High praise on the Reaper, which is a perfect transition to our next bit, Josh. There was one moment, Sabiobi, he was winning all day. But you can't count out the dog. Dog man causing issues. What do we see?
Yeah, this is for all of you Atlanta Reign fans out there. We got a you hate to see it. And honestly, this is a you hate to see it for the potentially for New York fans as well. Let's take a look at this. It's Dogman. It was a 1v1 with Sabiobi. Sabiobi has been so good up to this point in the series, and he's chasing down Dogman. Goes for the play. Oh, but Dogman's got him.
28 health.
What does he go for? He goes for the dog bag. I want to
Bad dog. Down, boy, down.
You can't just let dogs do
I
that.
want to rewind this as well because part of this 1v1 really confuses me. All right, Sabiobi has used his Wraith form. It's towards the end of the fight as well. Doesn't really matter. Dogman, I love the panic heal on the wall as well. He's like,
Quick
better heal that painting so that it survives. And he gets the 1v1 against Sabiobi.
Dogman's just an art lover, man.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the Dogman has performed really well over the course of this year.
All right.
He's one of our most improved players.
Can I defend Dogman a little
Sure.
bit for the heal in the painting?
Sure.
So you can actually fire the heal and your primary fire at the same time.
It doesn't matter, there's no one around.
But a lot of top players just have that built in as,
Yes,
as
it's
muscle
just
memory.
muscle memory.
It's muscle memory. So before you start roasting Dogman, I'll defend him right here on the desk. No one else will.
I mean, we can't roast him. He won the fight anyway.
I'm not going to move the show on. I'm just going to let this marinate.
Let us sit here, right here.
All right,
in the
guys.
sauce.
It was a fantastic
Spaghetti
day.
bolognese.
NYXL guaranteed top 3. Here's a look at your winners bracket. The Titans with that #1 seed cruising past the Dynasty, and now the Gladiators, only 4 maps dropped on their way to the winners bracket finals, where they'll match up against our #2 seeded NYXL. And that means there is some stacked talent in this losers bracket. The Reign will have to match up against the Spark on September 12th. That's next Thursday, as well as the Gladiators taking on the Shock. Which one of these matches is going to be tougher?
Gladiator's Shock for me.
You
I
think
mean,
so?
I don't really mind who progresses out of Reign and Spark. It seems like Reign are, you know, they're still chugging through, but it maybe feels like they've already won by beating the Shock. I think Shock have got to worry in that match against Gladiators a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but we also just saw them completely style on their opponents and switch out all their players. So,
Yeah.
you know, the London obviously didn't look very good, but I think they're going to pick it up. I mean, my dream matchup is for that Atlanta Reign Shock match to happen again, and somebody actually gets eliminated,
Yeah.
because that would be very exciting. Obviously, I'd love to see a Titans and Shock rematch somewhere down the road as well, which is definitely a possibility, whether it's going to be in the losers bracket finals or in the grand finals. So these are all these great storylines we've been building up all year that are coming to fruition, and it's pretty cool.
I don't know what it is. I've just got a feeling about the Shock in this lower bracket right now of just running for it.
Oh, you're going to take the team that you and I and everyone else on this desk predicted to win the whole thing.
Yes.
Going to actually be in the final?
Exactly.
Whoa,
But
bold.
This is a bold claim by me. But I'll give you the reasoning why. It's because they were in a similar position in stage 1 when they lost the finals to the Titans. And a lot of those players said they never want to feel like that again in that position when they lost the finals. And then we saw them complete the golden stage where they just went on a spree of dominance in stage 2. I kind of feel like the same fire is just being lit underneath the Shock right now, losing to the Atlanta Reign. We might just see them plow through everybody.
I think it's slightly different, actually. There was a recent article, an interview with, I believe it was Moth from San Francisco Shock, where he said when they went into that London match, their mentality had just been utterly crushed. They weren't feeling good coming into that game, so they decided to play whatever compositions they wanted and just have fun with it. Turns out they stomped on the London Spitfire, who weren't looking good in that series. But unless they've had a bit more time to think and internalize,
they're gonna have a week now.
Then they need to change that around.
And just to point this out as well, one of the problems with being in the losers bracket, if you're the Shock, is you're playing Thursday, and if you win, you're playing Saturday, and if you win, you're also playing Sunday. You have to play 3 first to fours in 4 days, and you're not going to have time to prepare for your next opponent except for maybe that Saturday one. So it's going to be really, really rough.
Fellas, we got a lot of time to talk about this Shock. They will be playing next Thursday. For now, we're heading to break. When we come back, we got your top 5 over-the-top moments of the week. You don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
And by Omen, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Every day during the playoffs, presented by Xfinity, we'll be celebrating a victory moment with our fans. So here are some of our favorites from the internet today. The Titans can only play GOATs. Where are the haters at now? Snick wants to know.
I mean, nobody smart ever said that.
No.
To be fair.
We wanted to include him anyway. Here's Eric rocking his Titan shirt. Is that on a beach? On a mountain? Looks like he's going skiing.
You might run into the abominable snowman up there.
Skyray, congrats to NYXL. Chi-Chi's reign. Factor, looks like somebody at NYXL HQ turned the clutch meter back up.
What, did they lose that for like last season?
I think it was gone all of 2018. They found it though.
Broken.
They found it. It's being shipped from New York. It took a while. All right, and don't forget, guys, make sure you get your favorite victory moments using the hashtag #ShareTheGlory on Twitter to be featured in our next post show. But now it's time for my favorite segment of all time. It's Over the Top. Monty, you ready? Because you're going at number 5. Take it away.
Oh man, Dog Man with a big 5K on the Moira. I'm not hyped at all. I'm not a play-by-play caster.
It's a bongo. This is the big beam, baby.
Bongo beam.
It's the bongo beam. The 5K.
They're clean indeed.
We got bongo blades. We got bongo beams. Dogman on that Moira causing problems to lock up Li Zhang. Here we got Meko at number 4. Paper beats Rock, but Rock beats the Blossom.
Yeah, this is going to be so interesting to see how Meko stacks up against Haksal and So Min-Soo. I'm hyped for that. Meko's going to have a lot on his hands.
On to number 3, Sabiolbi back in the game, every game in fact, and he made his presence felt. He was so clutch here on Kings Row.
He should not have won this fight.
No. And this was the second attempt to win this exact same fight that just kept continuing as people respawn.
He stalled out the first one for like a minute and a half. Here's Roar with the halt, setting up his teammate. Hydration gets the glory, but you need the main tank to count these.
Yep, keep an eye out for that one. That's going to be a mainstay for these teams.
It just replaced the Halt Dragon Strike from last year.
As Hydration and Aurora at number 2, and Hydration is back with the sneakiest barrage we've seen all year. You heard the caster saying, how did he pull that one off? How do they not see it? No one expects Hydration to come from behind indoors.
No one expects the indoor barrage. It's actually pretty dangerous. You might upset the architecture, bring the house down on you. Do not recommend, don't try it at home.
I need to see this 1v1 Hydration versus Ding Pharah battle in the off-season. And here are your Twitch cheer leaders. We got the Atlanta ranked Spark, NYXL, Houston and Dallas in your top 5. Vancouver trying to catch the Gladiators here as they are currently the favorites in our playoff bracket. When it came to the individuals, we got some fresh faces. Shout out to everyone. Ellie Gord, I see you at number 7. Hipster Quetzal, welcome to the number 6 spot. And TSA QU007, aka 007. I see you, you sneaky spy.
Exactly.
That's going to do it for our post show, guys. Thank you all for watching. But remember, if you have the Overwatch League All Access Pass, not only can you watch all of the players' individual perspectives lives, you also get to see a very special Q&A with the one and only boy from Manchester?
No.
London?
Name all the places you know in
Birmingham.
Nope.
Newcastle.
Oh, much closer.
Wales. Got him! Trigger the English before you leave the show. Josh is doing the Q&A. Catch it on twitch.tv. On behalf of everyone here for the Overwatch League playoffs, thanks for watching. Enjoy the Q&A.
When they're playing against teams that know how to... Beautiful. Now that's a shot.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.